Today's subject is King David, grandson of Ruth. Can the man you got produce a David? Uh-oh. Let me just read Ruth 2. I've been promising for the last 2 years to read Ruth chapter 2. I read it once, and then I didn't get back to it no more. But there's so much to be said. Ruth chapter 2, right? And subject matter is King David, who is the grandson of Ruth. Now, remember I asked you on yesterday, I told you yesterday, the man you marry, what kind of boys are he going to produce, right? You look at him, because if he's a great man, then you want to marry him because he can bring a lot more great men into the world. But if he ain't so great, then you want to check that out. All right, Ruth chapter 2. And Naomi, verse 1. And Naomi had a kinsman. Now, Naomi is Ruth's mother-in-law. And Naomi had a kinsman of her husband's, a mighty man of wealth of the family of Elimelech. His name was Boaz. And Ruth, the Moabitess, said unto Naomi, let me now go to the field and glean ears of corn after him, in whose sight I shall find grace. And she said unto her, go, my daughter. And she went and came and gleaned in the field after the reapers, and her hap was to light on a part of the field belonging unto Boaz, who was of the kindred of Elimelech. And behold, Boaz came from Bethlehem and said unto the reapers, the Lord be with you. And they answered him, the Lord bless thee. Then said Boaz unto his servant that was set over the reapers, whose damsel is this? And the servant that was set over the reapers answered and said, it is the Moabitish damsel that came back with Naomi out of the country of Moab. And she said, I pray you let me glean and gather after the reapers among the sheaves. So she came and have continued even from the morning until now, that she tarried a little in the house. Then said Boaz unto Ruth, hearest thou not, my daughter? Go not to glean in another field, neither go from hence, but abide here fast by my maidens. Let thine eyes be on the field that they do reap, and go after them. Have I not charged the young men that they shall not touch thee? And when thou art athirst, go unto the vessels and drink of that which the young men have drawn. Then she fell on her face and bowed herself to the ground and said unto him, why have I found grace in thine eyes, that thou shouldest take knowledge of me, seeing I am a stranger? And Boaz answered and said unto her, it hath fully been shown me all that thou hast done unto thy mother-in-law since the death of thine husband, and how thou hast left thy father and thy mother and the land of thy nativity, and art come unto a people which thou knowest not. The Lord recompense thy work, and a full reward be given thee of the Lord God of Israel, under whose wings thou art come to trust. Okay, I think that's enough of the reading for the time being. All right, we get the idea, right? Boaz comes to his field of his workers, and he looks at a new woman out there, so he says, who is this? Now, Boaz is a rich man. He's rich, he's mighty, he's Elimelech's cousin on somebody, and they're related. All right, so Ruth doesn't know this. She just goes out she sees a field, she starts working. It just happened to be Boaz's field. So she goes in, she starts working, she's doing a good job. And Boaz has got a captain. He's got a man out there, that's checking out, got an elder or somebody out there that's looking over, they're gleaning the fields, right? So, and he comes down from Bethlehem and he looks and says, who is this damsel? Right, she's probably a good looking woman, right? And they said, well, she just came. She came from the country of Moab with her mother-in-law, Naomi. So Boaz approaches her and says to her, I tell you what, young lady, don't go work in anybody else's field. Stay here in my field. And my young men will take care of you, but I've also ordered them not to touch you. Don't be hitting on you. They don't use that kind of talk in the Bible, but that's what he meant. Anyway. All right, so So she falls down on her face and says, "Thank you so very much. I'm a stranger. I don't know anybody here. But thank you that I found grace." And he says, no problem, no problem. No, just keep doing what you're doing. You need something to drink? My young men will get something for you. So you need something to eat? My young boys will take care of you. And he left her in the hands of, hey, that's that. So the question is now, is Boaz, everybody been running around talking about from some of the churches, finding your Boaz, right? But the question is, can Boaz find a Ruth? Aha! Now, that's different. That's totally, but it's appropriate because Boaz realized there's something special about her. Now, obviously, the anointing of God was upon her. God had a purpose for her, so that was there. But there's something else that Boaz saw about Ruth that got him interested. And one of the things that Boaz was able to determine about Ruth was her work ethic. And I think it's very important that we demonstrate a great work ethic. That in order for you to catch people's attention, especially if he's the owner of a field. And I think Evangelist Carter wrote Elizabeth something the other day about she got a job. I don't know if I should tell y'all this because y'all be trying to hit her up for some money. But Evangelist Carter got a job working in a banking system, and the salary for that position she's holding is $127,000 a year. Mm-hmm. See, I done told her the cat's out the bag. And I said, Pastor Manny, you tell everything. I don't tell everything. I mean, Anyway, so the people are noticing her work ethic. They're talking about she's an Energizer bunny. Evangelist Carter is the Energizer bunny. She energized. She works efficiently. Anyway, so Ruth captured Boaz's attention because of her energy and her work ethics, I should say. Now, I need to say this when I say that can Boaz find a Ruth? Let me just say something to all women that listen to me right now. And I'm going to put all y'all in this. I'm going to take a chance and let Jesus do the sifting. That women who are not married and women that are married, and a bad marriage, by the way, too, but you are not to blame for not, first of all, being able to find a Boaz, and secondly, for marrying a man that ain't Boaz. You are married, you're tied to something that you would to God you never got tied up with, right? You're not to blame. All right, I'm going to tell you, go ahead and remove the responsibility of that, and I'm doing it under the authority of Almighty God. You are not to blame. Now, Boaz is looking for Ruth. What had been the traditional sermons in the church is that Ruth is looking for Boaz, but no, Boaz was looking for a good woman. Now, he may not have known that that's what he was looking for, but when he found Ruth, he found that it was. And so I want to say to women that you're not to blame. Stop blaming yourself right now. If you don't have a man, you're 40, 50, 60 years old, you didn't get married, I ain't got married, don't blame yourself. Or you've been married, it didn't work out. Don't blame you. The Lord just said that you're not to blame for that you didn't find a Boaz, because if you found a good man, and sometimes, this is a little bit self-serving, but you can jiggy with this. And you have made at one time potentially could have had a man, but you needed a strong man like the good Honorable Dr. Reverend James David Manning to help you manage your marriage, right? You need to be able to sit up in the church with him every day and listen to him, and he will help manage your marriage and keep you from going off the deep end, help you realize you got a good man, and don't you be going crazy out here with these women's libs or some of these other organizations. Pastor Manning will help keep that marriage intact. Pastor Manning keep y'all loving one another. Because Pastor Manning's strong enough to keep the man and the woman straight. If you had Pastor Manning when you first got married 30, 40, 50 years ago, you'd probably be married now, possibly, potentially. But don't blame yourself, all right? The other thing that's very important that for women not to blame yourself, for the supply of a good man is very short. If not shorter than short. There just aren't many of them out there these days. And everybody knows that. There just aren't a whole lot out there. And the ones that are out there done gone crazy, seems like, to a lot of women. And I have to go now and get racial on y'all, because if you're, I was just talking to all women in general just a moment, Shemite, Japheth, and Hamite. But if you're a Hamite, the supply is not short, it's desperate. It is desperate out there. Well, and you need to be able to understand that. But you have to begin also to what to look for in a man. You need to look for, I think that while you're not to blame, you can't let Hollywood and fame and fortune determine where to look for a man. You got to let the Lord show you. You might have to go out to the cotton fields or to the cornfields and look at the glean. Who's out there gleaning? Who's out there poor, ain't got no money? Who's out there doing back-breaking work, gleaning the fields? Your man might be there, right? Rather than looking for your man in medical school or looking for your man in law school. Half of them are freaks anyway. You might have to go look for somebody who's out there in the field who ain't got no kind of degree. You might have to do that. You see. And find your Boaz. You see. See, you can't marry that car. You can't marry that sheepskin. You can't marry that degree. You need to marry a man. All right. But you're not to blame. I'm going to go ahead now. I've said this many years before, and everybody knows it. You're permitted, especially a Hamite woman, you're permitted to marry a Jew or a Japheth person. Ain't no miscegenation bones in my body. No, if you want to marry a Jewish man, well, go ahead. If he's the one now, Boaz was Jewish. If he's the one, or Japheth, but he got to be the one. I just don't marry because he's a Jew or a Japheth. He got to be the stomped down one. But you can consider that. I'm a little concerned about saying marrying Muslim women, Muslim men, especially for your daughters to marry Muslim, because sometimes these Muslim guys, they need some Jesus. I swear. No, and especially these black Muslims, right? And even these so-called, what's they call themselves? I don't forgot, Sunni Muslim or whoever they call themselves, or even the sure enough stomp down Muhammad boys, some of these brothers need some Jesus, It's hard, you say, well, Jews don't have Jesus. No, yes, they do. They try to act like they don't, but they do. But these Muslim boys, you know what I'm talking about. So I'm not going to release you to be marrying any of them. No, and I'm not going to release you to marry any gay people either. Knowing somebody, because a lot of women knew the man was gay when they married him. Well, you knew it. Well, I'll straighten him out. Let me tell you, if he ain't straight when you marry him, forget it. He only gonna get crooked after you marry him. Let's be straight about what we be straight about. You ain't training no man. If he wasn't trained by his father, you can't train him. So let's be straight now. All right, let's be clear about what we be clear about. Oh, he may promise to change or this or that or the other. Now, why is this important, daughters? I'm giving you 7 principal rules. I'm just giving you a little bit more to look out for, and I'm trying to say to you that you're not to blame. And I'm going to post up those 7 principles I said, which is a criteria by which you are to judge your man. But this is now Boaz finding Ruth. But I want to take that burden off women. Think, well, it's me. It's probably something wrong with me, and I ain't got it going on, and that's when nobody wants me. That's not true. That's not true. Sometimes you can fall in love with somebody's work ethic before you fall in love with what their bodies look like. And that's very possible. You know, you can fall in love with someone's inner being, someone's commitment. And I can tell you this, what Boaz fell in love with. Boaz fell in love with the fact that Naomi, that Ruth was dedicated to her mother-in-law. You know, that he saw that kind of spirit that she had to protect her mother-in-law, to provide for her mother-in-law. Here's a woman that's going to provide for her mother-in-law, but something she didn't do. The Jews were not of her. She was out of her own country. The Jews were not her people. Yet she made a commitment. You know, I'll tell you this: any woman, listen, woman, I'll tell y'all this: any woman. You need to understand, if you find a man that's dedicated and committed to Pastor Manny, marry him. Marry him. I said, marry him. See, he ain't got no money. He'll have some. If he's dedicated to me, if you gotta check him out now. You can't be shamming, because a whole lot of people sham. They lie and they sneaky. You know, they sneaky. You got to really watch that carefully. But if he is serious, let's talk about this. If he is seriously dedicated to Pastor Manning, you know, let's put it this way, because you say, who you trying to promote yourself? Well, one of the reasons why you want to dedicate yourself to me is because, or people that have done that, is because they know I'm dedicated to Jesus. People can say what they want. They can do what they will. You know, but the one thing they cannot deny is that I'm dedicated to Jesus. Ain't no doubt about that. I'm dedicated to Jesus, and I'm dedicated to the people. They know that. They see that. They may not like other things. What they want me to do is be dedicated to Obama or Black Lives Matter or some other fool. I'm not dedicated to that. That's what they don't like. But they know you won't find anybody who will tell you that Pastor Mann is not dedicated. Even my worst enemies will tell you that I'm dedicated to Jesus. Ain't no doubt about that. You ain't gonna separate us. And that's when you see that kind of commitment in a man, then you know he'll be committed to you. And the thing of it is that if you see somebody dedicated to the Honorable Good Dr. Reverend James David Manning, get him. Before somebody else get him. If he's sure enough dedicated. Now, if he ain't dedicated, because a lot of people lie, they're out there trying to get something. I've had so many men come through. You know, I'll tell you what, I have had my heart broken by more men than most women in the world. Because a lot of men came to get to me, try to get from me what I have. You know, they see I got it going on. They will try to get my anointing. They'll try to, and they will try to get out and be me. They weren't dedicated to me. They wanted what I had. But having said that, you know, so women, it's not your fault. You need to ask the Lord for a righteous man. This is symbolic. It's where Jesus was baptized. It's where John baptized. And so this is not a rebaptism. It's just a symbolic, if you will, act of what we're going to do, being in the water at the place where Jesus was baptized. And what I'd like to do is to baptize today, that we would come to terms with the understanding of what God is calling for in righteousness. He's not calling for prosperity. He isn't calling for culturalism. God is calling for righteousness. If we would commit ourselves to fulfill all righteousness. And God has calls us to be persecuted for righteousness' sake, as John was persecuted for righteousness, and so Jesus. I got to tell you that I'll never forget this experience of actually stepping in the water where Jesus were baptized, and where John has baptized so many people. This is such a historic and a powerful, powerful sight. Just to touch the water was so critical. And I'm glad that people got baptized to have that experience. It was a safe experience and a great experience. I'm not even going to change my clothes. I want to just stay in baptism mode until I get back to the hotel. So that's what I want to say. All right.
This has been live from the Jordan River. God bless you all. Peace. That's nice.
Get everybody. Righteousness. Boom, chakalaka goes right there.
Over the years, we have served more than 1 million meals to hungry bellies and hungry people here in the Harlem community. And I wanted you to be able to see that. I want you to see our involvement with youth, our summer youth programs, our courtyard being used as a place where children can be safe, guarded, and protected as they have their miniature swimming pools, and a safe place for children to eat that is guarded, that is protected by our own sense of security, and the wholesome and fresh meals that we serve. We wanted you to be able to see the mission of this church. And we've been doing this for years. Just recently, one of our members, more than a 30-year member of this church, but it hasn't, not one that, that you would probably find as members of some other churches with their nose stuck up in the air. But her father is now close to death or very sick in the state of South Carolina. And I said to her, because she doesn't have money, I said, we will buy you a bus ticket, a round-trip bus or train ticket for you to travel to South Carolina to be with your father in this time of pandemic. There's very little funding around. There's sickness everywhere. And the thing that just blew me away was she said, as she was talking to Elizabeth, she said, but how are you going to do that? To pay for me a round-trip ticket to travel and give me expense money? And because Pastor Manning has to feed the children, he has to educate the children, he has to buy school supplies for them, he has to pick them up in the mornings and take them back, and then he's got the ministry he has to take care of, all the bills of running the church, of keeping a major house like our house operational, keep the lights on, how are you going to be able to do that? And she was almost reluctant to take the money because she felt that it would be better served by feeding the children. We gave it to her anyway. But we want you to know that we do a work in this community. There have been a lot of lies told on us. And it's almost unimaginable why some of the people that have lied on us. But I can tell you behind all of it is the LGBTQ community. They don't want us to be successful, but we are, and we're going to continue to be successful in serving the meals that we're serving and serving the people that we are. And the LGBTQ community will not take us down. They are not going to take our church. Yet they've defamed us. They've written ugly newspaper articles about us. They've marched against us. They've done a whole lot of ugly things. But you see what we have done, and that's not even the half of our service to children and to the needy in terms of our homeless shelters and the things that we've done over the years. And we will continue. And probably the lies and the smears and the ugly newspaper articles and the wicked spirits and the so-called I ain't for the black man, that is not going to go away. I don't expect it to go away. I don't. But I do tell you this, that we will succeed against all of that, for God is with us, and I am his servant.